you have been very, very bullish about the RASK getting higher and higher, that the Indian customers will be willing to pay more for a higher and for a better and efficient service. Your RASK is now at historic high. How much more scope is there to improve this further?
First, let me say that the revenue performance is very strong. Clearly, we had a large loss. But remember, the loss we were reporting was Omicron driven. I mean, now it seems like, oh, Omicron was a long time ago, but that's the quarter we were reporting. And
Right.
as you know, January, February, the Omicron was really hitting hard, and that's why we lost a lot of money. On top of that, we have fuel prices. So those were the reasons for the loss.
Right.
But the reason the market took it well was because of the revenue performance. The Indian economy is doing well, coming out of COVID. All the signs are they'll continue to do well. And as you know, airline revenues grow at about 2.5 times the basic GDP growth. So that's good news. Second is this intensity of travel. So, as we've said many times, only 5 to 7% of Indians travel by air. And the question is, what is going to happen to that number over time? And obviously, it's only going to grow. Companies too have learned that it's probably more efficient for them to just pay for their laborers to come by air than by train, because they lost wages and so on and so forth. And Indians too, I think we're just learning to travel more holiday trips, more sometimes going abroad, but certainly within the country.
Right.
So I think we're seeing that early ripple effect, and we haven't yet seen the wave effect. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more growth. So we look at the customer end to end, and we ask ourselves, our philosophy is, why would anyone make the mistake of not booking IndiGo? During the booking cycle, we offer you more frequencies, we offer you more connectivity. Then during the actual operations, we offer you better reliability and hassle-free service. And then we're focusing heavily on the after-travel aspects of it. So these are all sustainable, but let me come to the cost side. So cost, as you know, $110 a barrel is tough for all airlines, but it's also getting worse and worse. April over March, fuel prices were up 11%. May over April, fuel prices were up again 6%. And May 31st, we'll get another one, and I'm prepared for another shock. It'll probably go up again some percentage. So that is sort of relentless. And then when we report our earnings, I don't think this is well recognized. There was a change in the accounting just 2 years ago or so. And they said that you must recognize the total amount of foreign ex liabilities you have in these leases. You have to recognize the difference caused by the change in foreign exchange. So, I mean, for us, it's a huge number. It's all below the line. It's an accounting charge. It's not a cash charge. But the headlines hit, oh, IndiGo lost so much money. But that's because there's mark-to-market adjustment, which, as I said, is a non-cash cost. But anyway, setting all that aside, revenue summary is the revenue is very strong. Fuel prices are a problem. And this mark-to-market always distorts the numbers for us.
So a higher competition, a higher intensity in the market, and multiple more players vying for the same share of pie, that is not likely to have any kind of impact on
No, I wouldn't quite say that. But look, there was a period, and I forget when, 2013, I'm just guessing from history, that there was a strong revenue growth, right? The Indian economy was doing well, revenue was growing, but the airline still managed to lose money. Some people went out of business. What happened? Well, all that revenue growth, you can either take it in volume, or you can take it in yield, or you can take it in a mix of the two. Unfortunately, at that time, everyone took it in volume. Now you can't be losing on every passenger and saying I'll make it up in volume. That just doesn't work. So that was a mistake that the industry made. I'm hoping we are now again in another strong revenue upcycle, and I'm hoping the industry will have the foresight and the wisdom and the maturity to take it as a mix of volume and yield rather than all in volume. Now, I'm optimistic because so far the industry is behaving well. Whether it's Air India or Go Air or Spice, we all seem to be behaving in a very mature. So that's why I'm hopeful. But that's not to say there won't be pressure. Of course, there'll be a pressure. We just need to handle it in a mature and sort of it's a balancing act.
You are looking at 55 to 60% increase in ASKs in FY23. So where would we see more, I mean, would we see IndiGo ramping up frequencies on existing routes, or will we see more new stations coming up?
The 55% growth was over 2022, which had the Omicron COVID effects. I think that's why I keep going back to pre-COVID. How do they compare to pre-COVID? Compared to pre-COVID, our capacity will be up about 15%.
15.
Yeah. Which is still a good number. And then as we go further another year out, we'll probably be back at 20%. But for this coming year, pre-COVID, we're looking at 20% growth. But sorry, 15% growth.
15.
So we'll keep looking for new stations, and new stations are doing great, so we won't stop. International is where I'd like to see more growth. Now, having said that, we're still growing internationally. We're adding Bahrain, we're adding Ras Al Khaimah from our pre-COVID levels. But total is still down because of Sri Lanka and China and places like that.
Is there again some thought about getting wide-body planes, or is it still?
And the answer is, if we get these things aligned, if in fact we get the MCTs and the banks alignment and the connectivity you're looking for, it's only a matter of time before we do wide bodies. As you know, we're going into Europe in a big way as soon as the XLR comes in. That'll be our first foray, but it will not only go west with the XLRs, we'll go east with the XLRs as well, to places like Manila, Seoul, and so forth. So once we get that connectivity going, it's only a natural progression to get into the wide bodies.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.